So welcome back. So we're gonna pick this one up right where we left off on the last one. So ready to get this axle out from under this truck and get it over into the wash bay and start cleaning it up. Now you see, I got it sitting on jack stands right now, and the truck's just kind of sitting there on the lift. So first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna try to get this axle on my jack in a way that it'll balance, so that I can just kind of lift it up off those jack stands and just kind of use the jack to roll over into the wash bay because that dude is heavy. It's a half-inch thick piece of 4-inch tubing, and I don't know what it weighs at this point, but it's pretty heavy, and it just gets worse from there. It just gets heavier. So see if I can get this thing balanced and get her over into the wash bay.
All right, so I lied. We won't see you on the workbench. First thing this nasty thing is going to is right in there to the wash bay. So I got to move my side by side, got to move my 54. And then we'll get this thing in here and get it scrubbed off and get her cleaned up. And then we'll move on to the wash bay. Or, I'm sorry, the workbench. Well, here we go. So finally got it wiped off and got it. Well, I ain't gonna say it's clean, but it's cleaner than it was anyway. At least there's not big globs of dirt and crap and mud and grease all over like there was. So my next move now is to get this thing cleaned up as far as metal goes. The stock spring perches, they both got to come off. The panhard bar mount, that's got to come off. The spring, hell, I don't even know what U-bolt, golly, I'll get there in a minute. These U-bolt mounts right here, they've got to come off. You see I whipped up these little snappy nappy little jack stands here out of some 1x6 that I had, or 2x6, and it'll kind of spin on that, not too terrible. So that's my next move from here. I get the plasma cutter, gonna see if we can gouge these welds off of here, get all this crap off of there, and then we'll go, once I get them dropped off of here and cut off, I'm going to try and drop off the panhard bar mount in one chunk, kind of, if I can. That way, because I don't need to get, I don't know, I may take some measurements or something off of it. I may use a little chunk of it later. You know, I never know, so I try not to just completely destroy it. The rest of this crap, I'm just going to take the fire axe to it and get it off of here. So, let's go for a ride. into the wash bay for the next stage of this, which is I've got to run over and clean up all of this slag and whatever's left with a grinder, and I'm going to be slinging sparks everywhere, you know, kind of like what I did in there, all over everything in the shop. Perhaps I didn't think that through fully. Whatever, done now. I'm moving in here because this is just an easier area. There's a concrete block over there that I don't really give a damn about. I'll shoot sparks into it. So I'm going to probably spend, I don't know, a couple hours grinding all this crap off and getting it ready to go. So we'll just reconvene when I get it back up on the table and we're ready to start laying out a plan on this thing. So everybody pay attention because school's in session. So you saw we got the axle up on the table, got it all cleaned off, got it ready to go, got it locked in on my jack stands there. In case you couldn't figure out what I was doing, I set it in my jack stands in the way that I made them. I got caps on that work kind of like a yoke, like a main bearing really. And I set my axle up in there. I went to the same spot on the upper part of the knuckle, set the rake angle, then locked it down by tightening that wood down on top of it. That way, now I can build from there. I don't have to worry about the thing moving just a little bit and getting something out of kilter. So the best way to show you what I'm going to have to do, or best way to explain what I'm going to have to do next is to show you on the whiteboard, because it's going to take a minute to, while I'm building it. That way you can understand what I'm working on while I'm doing it. So the first problem that I have is I want to go, if you remember, I showed you the pictures early on when I first cut all the suspension out from under it and got it down, so I just kind of see what it looked like and everything. Well, the problem that I had is right where it was, the top of the axle was actually touching the bottom of the oil pan. Obviously, that's no bueno. So that is with it bottomed out where it was. And I mean, it didn't look bad right there, but I want it lower. I want to be able to, when I lower this thing all the way down, when I air it out flat on the bumps, that the step on the side is almost on the ground, and the front bumper as well. In order to do that, I'm probably going to need 3 to 4 more inches. So, can't get rid of the oil pan, can't get rid of the axle, gotta remake one of them. There's a crankshaft in the way of the motor, so can't cut it out right there. So we're going to take it out of this axle. Now, the best way to describe what I'm going to do is if you imagine a C-notch in the rear of a frame, I'm going to do that in this axle. So essentially, we got our outer knuckles here and here. I've measured in to what I feel like is going to be a good spot to start this, and we're actually going to, I've got some 1/2 inch thick steel, so I'm going to come down here, here, like this, then we'll come up to here. We're going to come down to the bottom. Now that axle is 3.5 inches in diameter and outside diameter, so essentially I'm going to come, boy, that's a terrible line right there. I'm not Picasso, y'all, so hang in there. So anyhow, we're going to come down like this to either the bottom of the axle or just below it. Because what I said, I like to get at least 4 inches. If I can get that, I think I'll be very happy. So if I can get it absolutely bottomed right there, then this should give me plenty of clearance. So I'm going to make 2 big cutouts. I've got 1/2 inch thick plate, so I'll make 2 big cutouts like this that basically will sit over the axle. Then we'll come back. Once it's all welded in, we'll cut this out. That's what our new axle will look like. Now, the axle's round and I'm putting flat plate on it. So how are you going to work that out? Glad you asked. All right, so if you imagine, this is our round axle, okay? So once we get our plate laid up there, like this would be if we're looking at it just from the top, if you're looking straight down at it. So I get my plate and I'm going to lay it up here, and let's say right here is the area where we're going to start. Our plate's going to go in the center there. I'm going to cut into the axle a 1/2 inch on both sides. We'll cut this area out so that then we'll actually have, you'll have the top of your axle here, the bottom of your axle here, but you're going to have, it's going to come down a little bit because it is a circle, so you're not going to be able to, get it all the way to the full 3.5 inches. So you're going to have your 1/2 inch wall here, your 1/2 inch wall here. Now the plate will lay flat against that. Come along, weld it in solid here, weld it in solid here. Anywhere that it makes contact, like even if it's coming across, okay, like this, okay, we'll cut that out. Now I did buy a brake. I've got a 20-ton press, and I bought a brake. So what we'll actually do is we'll make a piece of 1/2 inch plate that's going to come down. We'll break it in the middle right there, so it lays down in there, and then we'll weld her in like this here, and we'll do the same for the bottom. So I know that's kind of a primitive way of explaining it, but it's the best I could do without just telling you, is to try to show you. So next step here is I'm going to get some cardboard. You remember the cardboard trick? Actually, first thing, I'm going to transfer all these measurements to the axle. Then I'm going to get some cardboard. We'll make some cardboard templates, start getting us a look at where it's going to need to be cut, how we're going to need to go from there. So I'm going to get some cardboard, and we'll get to cutting, and you can watch along, and we'll figure it out together. I don't know that anybody's ever done this before on one of these axles, but we're going to figure it out one way or the other. All right, well, you kind of get the idea by that. I kind of screwed up when I was making my measurements there, and when I measured my 7 inches right here, I meant to come down to make my bracket there. Instead I went up. No big deal though, it's a matter of just sliding it up, so not a problem. But I think you kind of get the idea of what I'm going for right here. That obviously that would give me a ton of clearance. I'm not going to go quite that extreme. I don't need that much. That would give me like 10 inches of clearance. I'd have that much room in the damn oil pan at full bump. I don't quite need that much. But we're going to do something like this right here. Obviously got to do some more measuring and stuff and fitting up to get it all where it needs to be. But like I said, I think you get the picture. So next up, we just got to kind of figure out where to locate this bad boy. Got to take some more measurements off the axle. Got to get a good read on the top center line here so that I can get this trimmed up and in place. Once I get it all trimmed up and in place, then we'll mark how we want to make our cuts on here. Now, I bought that new plasma cutter just for this, literally, because this axle is, I want to say it's around a 1/2 inch thick. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know. I haven't measured, to be honest with you. I'm just eyeballing it. I haven't measured it yet. If it's 3/8, fine. It's 3/8. It doesn't matter. I've got 3/8 plate and I've got half-inch plate, so I'm covered either way. But so we just got to figure out how I'm gonna locate this. Um, make the marks on the first side so I can cut it, and then I'll get this guy laid out the way it goes. We'll lay it on the plate. We'll get it cut out. Then we'll get ready to kind of stick them up here. Once we get the template cut out and then get the side cut out on this, we'll be able to really, it'll start taking shape for real. Then we'll be able to kind of start seeing what we got, what we're working with there. I'm gonna have to talk to a really good friend of mine. He's a machinist. He's one of the smartest dudes I know. Toying with rounding these cuts right here instead of coming to a point, because I think there's, and I may be wrong about this. If I am, I am. Whatever. It'll be the first time. I think having this where it comes to a point creates an actual stress point there and a possible. I'm not going to say a weak spot, because none of this is going to be weak, but if there could be an area for failure, it might be right where those two cuts are, and I may round it instead. That way it doesn't have that hard point to create. It still carries that load across that area there. Like I said, I'm going to talk to him. It seems like I remember reading that somewhere before or hearing that somewhere before. I'm not 1,000% sure. I'm going to talk to him and find out. I may round anyway because it just might look cooler. I don't know. We'll see. Nonetheless, we got to get on with locating this now and see if I can get this to sit the way I want.
What's up, everybody? So you'll notice I am. This is definitely low quality vid here. I'm sitting in a hotel room in Dallas, Texas, and in my ongoing pursuit to try to be as consistent as I can to put out content for you guys to watch. I just edited this video on a flight from Nashville to Houston to get down here for my daughter to play some softball, and now I'm sitting here in a hotel room, just kind of wrapping it up, and I realized that I needed an outro for it. So you see where we are. A plan has been hatched. This is a very cool part of the project, a part of it that I've been waiting on for a long time. Like I said, I don't know that anybody has ever C-notched a monobeam axle. I mean, if so, hey, reach out, send me some pictures of it, show me how you did it. But this comes out really, really cool. You're gonna have to stay tuned for the rest. I didn't want to start cutting on it and then, as soon as I get started, have to stop and start the next episode. So gonna have to come back in the next episode when we really lower the boom on this thing and get cooking good. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out, watching the whole thing to this point. Um, Subscribe, share it with 300 of your friends. Subscribers are still coming up. A lot of people are still watching it. Really appreciate those of you that do support the channel, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. So see you real soon.